Lieutenant Kendrick order the code red, didn't he? Because that's what you told Lieutenant Kendrick to do.
Object! And when it went bad, you cut these guys loose! Your Honor, you had markets inside a phony transport. Your Honor, you doctored the logbook. Damn it, Captain! You coerced the doctor.
Consider yourself in contempt.
Colonel Jessup, did you order the code red?
You don't have to answer that question.
I'll answer the question. You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Welcome to Truman's Town Hall with your host, Matt Truman.
Hello, this is Matt Truman. Thank you for downloading this episode. Thank you for sharing with a friend. Today on the podcast, we have to go back in time yet again to 2017, where I talk with then candidate for mayor Jeff Gore. Now, as you all are aware, your current mayor, Jeff Gore. So here's that conversation he and I had right meow. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here with Jeff Gore. He is running to be mayor for the city of Huber Heights. Mr. Gore, thank you for joining Inspired and Admired.
Oh, no problem, Matt. I'm glad to be here. Looking forward to talking to you about stuff here.
All right, thanks. We'll start off. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your family, where you grew up, went to school, and things like that.
Sure. My parents bought a house on Tilbury, 5333, right in front of Cheviot Court, about 3 houses down from Shenandoah Elementary School, in 1976. I was 4 years old then, and so I went to Shenandoah Elementary School, Weisenborn Junior High School, and then graduated from Wayne in 1990.
Yeah, that was before when I was in Wayne, or in the Huber Heights School District, the Weisenborn and Studebaker, and then they switched it to where I went to Weisenborn and rivals. Studebaker. Yeah. Yeah,
those are big rivals. Back then, we had our junior high nights, and that was a big rivalry between Weisenborn and Studebaker. That was a big deal.
It was. Awesome. So you grew up in Huber Heights then?
Yes. Well, from 4 years on.
4 years on. And went to Wayne High School. Did you play sports in the band? How'd that?
Yeah, actually, I was in the marching band. I played percussion. So I played bass drum my sophomore and junior year, and I played bass, they call them bass tritoms, my senior year. I was the drum captain, was president of the band. Nice. In school, I was a sophomore class president, junior class vice president. I was president of student council, always involved in as many extracurricular activities as I could be in school. It was just a really good experience and fun time for me, and have nothing but great memories of my time at Wayne in high school.
Good deal. So, I guess coming into present time, what made you to decide that you were going to run for mayor of Huber Heights?
Well, I think for the most part, I feel like a lot of the residents probably do. And I just had this sense of frustration as kind of the divisiveness that's been going on. And I think, again, I don't think I'm speaking out of turn here. I think lots of people have noticed that, over the last 4 years or so, just this kind of negative, divisive swing.
Right.
And I do contribute a lot of that to just kind of a lack of genuine leadership that we've had. And, I love Huber Heights. I think this is an extraordinary community. And I felt like I had some abilities to make a difference. And after talking it over with several of my friends and my wife, of course, my kids, they were supportive of it. One of the things I wanted to make sure of is not that I just had the support of my family, but if I were to win, I needed to know that they knew I could actually do the job. That was really important to me. Right. And when my family and my friends rallied around me, I know that they know my experiences and my background, and they think I could be successful. And that was kind of really what brought me into this.
Nice. So you've actually already experienced one election with the primary that was done. That was back in May. right?
Yes.
And you experienced that election. You actually came out on top. You won the primary for the mayor slot, so you moved on with Dave Wilson. How was that experience, and what type of work and things does it take?
Well, it does take a lot of work because you have to be, you're cognizant all the time that you're in a political campaign and that you're in a race to win an elected position. So it's just this awareness all the time. And people that you talk to, everybody has questions. People always want to know what your plans are, what you can do. So you have to be on top of your game all the time. And that means you have to have the knowledge, you have to have, because, if I don't know something, I will tell somebody, look, that's a good question. I'll get back to you. But you can only say that about so many things, and you look unprepared. So you really have to be prepared. So I really think just the preparation over the time frame of deciding I was going to run until the primary, preparation was the biggest work. And then finding a way to get that message out to the people really becomes, type of a marketing campaign. I have a vision for this city. I kind of know the direction that I want it to go. I know what I want to see in the areas that need work, and it's getting that message out to the people so they understand and they like it and see your vision, and they buy into that and they want to see those same things. So really just kind of preparation to knowledge was really the toughest part, and then getting that message out to people. Great.
So talking about some things that Huber Heights may need some work on, could you go over some things that you feel that Huber needs to work on? Is that?
Sure. Well, I think initially, we have to work on being unified. I think that's the biggest thing, which is one of the big reasons that I decided to run. I think we have to be unified. Not that we have to have one voice, because I do believe that disagreement is good. I believe that great ideas come from, kind of parts and pieces of everyone's ideas. And ultimately what politics is to me is compromise. And compromise doesn't mean that I always get what I want and you always get what you want. Compromise means that most of the time I'm getting a little bit of what I want and you're getting a little bit of what you want, and then the city's moving forward. So I think somehow we have to become unified and stop the divisiveness and again, I'm not speaking out of turn here. I think there's everyone in the city who's paying attention to our political climate knows that type of landscape exists right now.
Yeah,
so unification is a big thing that I think we need to work on. Then starting to kind of spread out and look at the city itself, I think what's really important is we've got to find a way to do some redevelopment in the southern portion of our city. I know there isn't anybody that I've talked to who's a fan of empty buildings and vacant lots and just an area of town that doesn't seem to be as nice or as spruced up or as much attention is paid. So we do have a lot of work to do in the southern part of the city. But with good planning and good zoning and I think with some tax abatements, the Community Reinvestment Act, we have the ability to use some of those things from an economic perspective that can really help get the southern area of town redeveloped. And I think that's a big thing that does need to be worked on.
Okay. So have you been following, and we had last Wednesday, I had another candidate. He's running for at-large, Chase Warden, for those who are listening. And I asked him about the Brandt Pike revitalization program. Are you following that as well?
I am, yes.
And do you think, one of the questions I asked him, and I think I'll ask you, is do you think the current zoning laws are sufficient, or do you think there's something that we need, or that Huber Heights needs to tweak a little bit to boost that southern portion of the city up?
Well, I'm a fan of, I think, what's called overlay districts, where we don't change existing zoning for existing building and property owners, but I think we can use the use of overlay districts. In fact, I know the city of Troy was very successful at this just recently when they were, approved and provided TIF funds or a TIF district to build their community along kind of the banks of the river there in Troy. And prior to all that happening, it was just a matter of how they laid out and used overlay districts in their zoning that helped spur growth to make sure that certain businesses were going to be working in this particular part of town and other businesses in this part of town. And I think the success that we're going to see on that revitalization plan from Troy and their banks project there, we can do the same thing here. So, yeah, I think there is some tweaking of some of our zoning laws that we can do that will encourage growth and the right kind of growth. But I don't think that it's anything major that needs to be done. I think all growth comes from, internal growth comes from the people that live here. Mm-hmm. And we need to make sure that the people in the city support the local businesses in the city. And so if we get back to that revitalization project, I'm 100% in favor of redeveloping the downtown area.
Right.
I think that some of the details probably need to be maybe rethinked or worked out in terms of the order that some of these businesses and things come into. But look, I agree with the consultants that we hired, that the committee hired for the revitalization project, that this isn't going to happen without public-private partnerships. And that includes TIFs. I think that's what's going to happen for that to be successful.
Okay.
Businesses aren't going to be successful if they don't have the right amount of eyeballs and pocketbooks, so to speak, from a development perspective. So it is going to take those public-private partnerships to encourage new businesses to come in here, and then we've got to have the ability of the people to have the discretionary income to be able to spend their money and spend those dollars on those businesses here, which then all goes back to increased jobs, increased business. People who live here need to be able to have the money to live and spend here, not work in Heber Heights and have to go live in an apartment someplace else. All those things, that economic cycle is cyclical and it all works together. So those things have to happen. But, the consultant said it. I believe it as well, that the revitalization project isn't going to happen without public-private partnerships for infrastructure, along with generating TIF dollars up there. For the city to be able to invest in that type of thing.
Okay. Great. So we talked a little bit about what needs work. What do you think Heber Heights is doing right now that is positive and that is moving in the right direction?
I think a lot of things right now, I think our citizens feel have kind of stagnated. But I look back at kind of some of the projects that happened over the last few years. I think the Rose has been a phenomenal success here in Heber Heights. I think it's put us on the map in a different way. I've attended concerts there. I've talked to people. There are people coming to that venue from all over Ohio, from all over the country. You talk to people from Texas, from Florida. I talk to people from Utah. There are people that are coming here from all over the place. I think that's been a great venue, and I think that is working well. And we can, if you have more questions about that, we can get into that.
Yeah.
I think the Aquatic Center has been a success. I mean, I know, when I grew up, my dad was a union riffer, my mom was a housewife, and we didn't have a ton of money. But my neighbor, I lived right down almost where Tilbury crosses Harshenville, and the old YMCA used to be there at the dead end of Harshenville, kind of by where Moorfield was at.
I used to ride my bike there all the time.
Yeah, we didn't have the money. I didn't have a Y pass. We didn't have a family pass to the Y. So if I wanted to go swimming, I always had to make sure that it was a day that my neighbor wanted to go. And I went with Gary to the Y on their family pass, so always as a guest. So the fact that we have an amenity here in the city now, this aquatic center that anybody can go to for a couple bucks, I think is a good thing. And, I know there's been a lot of people upset about money and again with